Hi everybody, and thank you for joining us today for the Johns Manville HVAC Insulation Product Webinar. My name is Kim Melton and I will be the moderator for today's presentation. Before we dive into any introductions though, I do want to go over a few logistics. First off, if you have any questions or concerns throughout the webinar, you can submit them at any point during the presentation via the Q&A feature. We'll address these questions live at the end of the presentation. Now, if you don't see the Q&A feature on the right side of your screen, look for the series of circular icons at the bottom middle of the screen and look for the one that has the ellipsis in it. And that, when you click on that, it will open a menu with a Q&A right at the top. And then you click on the Q&A box, and that'll open the Q&A dialog box to the right side of your screen. And then you can use that to submit questions directly to us. Additionally, we'll follow today's webinar with a survey. And this is your opportunity to provide us feedback with how we've done today. You can ask any additional questions you may have about the topic of the webinar, or even suggest topics for future webinars that you'd like to hear. We're continuously striving to improve and evolve these webinars, so if you have any comments or suggestions as to how we can better accomplish this, or even if you feel like maybe we've missed the mark today, we encourage you to fill out the survey. We use your feedback to improve our webinars and provide the information that has the most value to you. Now, this is also part of how we deliver the JM experience to you. And the JM experience is based on 4 pillars of the JM culture, and those are people, passion, perform, and protect. And we believe it's critical to make sure that we hear, understand, and respond to your needs in order to deliver the best interaction to you. And we offer webinars like this one to help educate the market and offer a tool and a resource for you and your business. But we understand this isn't just a one-way street, so your feedback is a key component to helping us evolve to better meet your needs. We're also frequently asked whether or not we send out these presentations upon their conclusion, and we don't actually send out the presentation itself, but we do post a recording of it online for you to watch at your leisure or even share with your colleagues. Now, this ensures that you have the presentation within its full context. So with that, we're going to get to some introductions. Joining me today is Brennan Hall, and Brennan, could you start us off with an introduction?
Sure, thanks, Kim. So good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you guys are today. Thanks for joining this webinar. My name is Brennan Hall. I am the Senior HVAC Product Manager for Johns Manville Insulation. I've been here for just about 4 years, and I've had about 10 years in the HVAC industry. My role as the HVAC Product Manager is I have responsibility for our duct liner, duct wrap, and duct board products within Johns Manville. A little bit more about me. I'm also a Spiral Duct Manufacturers Association board member. I'm a part of the NAMA HVAC Council, and we also are a SMACNA Premier Partner. So my job and responsibility is not only with product, but also making sure that Johns Manville is positioned in a lot of the industry associations and making sure that we're being represented and making sure we're an industry leader in the HVAC industry. So with that, we're going to go through this today. A little bit of the outline is kind of what we're going to go through for the next hour or so. We're going to talk about the framework of a basic HVAC insulation system. We're going to touch base on all the HVAC products in our portfolio that Johns Manville offers. We'll talk a little bit about some of the new product that we have out with some things that are changing with some of the codes that we've responded to here with Johns Manville. And then at the very end, there'll be some additional resources that I'll turn it back over to Kim, and she'll go through some of the marketing pieces, technical pieces, things like that, tools for you guys to use as you need it out there in the marketplace. So with that, sit back, relax, and I'm going to take you through all of our HVAC products. So the framework, that's where we're going to start, the framework of an HVAC system. So kind of the HVAC system in a nutshell here. We're going to set the stage for the webinar and make sure it's important that you understand how an HVAC system works just from a very basic standpoint. So taking a look at the diagram here, where we're going to start actually is going to be right here on section B. That's kind of your central air handling unit. So that's sort of the plenum where all the air is filtered and conditioned, heated or cooled, and then that air is then in turn pushed up through the trunk duct here in figure C that takes the air and moves it out in through the building. With that, then you're going to have all these tap outs or run outs that are going to take the air that's been heated or cooled and filtered out into a register or diffuser, which is going to deliver that air to the occupied space within that building, school, office space, whatnot, in your home, etc. From there, once that air is then in turn put out into the occupied spaces, it'll go into figure D here, which is kind of your return air, and bring it back into the plenum. And then that air will get ultimately pushed back into the main air handling area or unit. And you sometimes will have fresh air coming back in, or a fresh air intake that'll bring fresh air from outside of the building, mix it with the air that's been circulating through the building, and push it back through into the system. So all these parts of the HVAC insulation or HVAC system can be insulated, and obviously making sure the right insulation is chosen for the application is very important. So with that, we're going to take a look at insulation material selection. So when you're designing a duct system, it's critical to understand the criteria required for selecting your insulation. This diagram here really illustrates kind of the 8 common needs that insulation is typically used to meet. I would say 3 of these are really probably the most common needs and are kind of the 3 top needs that I would identify. And the first one would be energy conservation, your thermals, making sure you're getting the right R value and you're meeting the code and conserving that energy, making sure that you're delivering that air from the air handling unit into the occupied space at the desired temperature coming off of that air handling unit. The second one would probably be noise reduction or acoustical control, making sure that the occupied spaces you're limiting and mitigating the sound from either fan noise or crosstalk through rooms or ducts as that sound reverberates and bounces down that ductwork, and making sure you have a conducive and quiet environment in that occupied space. The third one is also probably is condensation control, and that's making sure in high humidity situations or you have vapor barriers that are put on your ductwork to be able to control that condensation depending on what application or where you're at and how those ambient temperatures affect the duct, regulate and help that temperature come down that system. So with that, there's 4 really solutions that we have in our portfolio, or 4 types of products kind of for HVAC insulation. In the upper left-hand corner, we have what's called duct wrap. Then on the upper right-hand side, we have a duct board. In the bottom left, we have our duct liner product. And then on the bottom right-hand side, we have what's called a flexible duct, where we make the insulation and we sell that to a vendor partner who actually fabricates and puts together the final assembly. So we're going to hit on all 4 of these insulation solutions today. So the first thing we're going to talk about is external duct insulation, which is more commonly known probably or referred to in our industry as duct wrap. Duct wrap is ideal for thermal control and energy efficiency. It does a great job of controlling condensation, really due to the factory applied FSK vapor barrier or PSK vapor barrier, depending on the product you're utilizing. Duct wrap will come in a variety of thicknesses and densities. That'll help you achieve your R values and make sure you're getting your thermal control. I would say one item of note here is if you're looking at this and you're noticing, I did not mention anything about acoustics, and really duct wrap doesn't play a really major role in controlling the acoustics. Duct wrap is a wrap product that goes on the outside of a duct, and therefore it really doesn't provide a whole lot of acoustical benefit for your system. So that's one thing that when you're taking into consideration some of the specifications you're looking at or the job and looking at what your insulation criteria needs to be, making sure that you're addressing or not addressing acoustics when it comes to duct wrap is something important to watch out for. So diving in a little bit more into the Johns Manville portfolio of duct wrap insulation, the upper left is what we call our Microlite FSK duct wrap. That's the silver foil face product that comes in a roll form. Our upper right is the Microlite PSK, which has a poly scrim craft facing on it, and then our Microlite standard product, which is an unfaced insulation. So we're going to kind of dive into those just a little bit more, give you a little bit more detail on it. So the first thing, I guess, when you're talking about duct wrap, and we're going to start on the left-hand side here with Microlite FSK, is duct wrap comes in a rolled form, just as you see in that image there. It's typically 48 inches wide and comes with a pre-applied vapor barrier typically. It comes in 3 densities. We refer to those densities as type 75 or 3/4 pound, type 100 or a 1 pound, or type 150, which is a 1.5 pounds, which is pounds per cubic foot of fiberglass that's in that actual product. It comes in an array of thicknesses. We make product in terms of Microlite FSK from 1.5 inches thick all the way up to one of our new offerings at 4.4 inches thick. And what those thicknesses do, combined with the density, is they deliver you an R value. The R value basically means the resistance to heat flow, and the higher the R value, the greater amount of insulating power. So as you're looking at that chart, the 1.5 inches, for example, ties to R4.2 installed. The 4.4 ties to the R12. So that's kind of how the density, thickness, installed R values all kind of come together. The facing on the silver facing there is a foil scrim craft laminated composite put together. It's basically a layer of silver foil that's laminated with a yarn scrim that has a crisscross reinforced pattern that is then in turn sandwiched in between with a sheet of craft paper, therefore FSK or foil scrim craft, all laminated together and put together on the outside as your vapor barrier. I would say that the majority of the duct wrap in the industry is a Microlite FSK type duct wrap. It is the kind of workhorse product that's probably 98% plus or more that's out there in the industry is a FSK faced duct wrap insulation. The next product that we offer is our Microlite PSK. Kind of the same deal with your same densities, thicknesses, R values that I just went into. The biggest difference between the product, obviously, is really the facing and the vapor barrier itself. The poly scrimcraft facing, which is the white facing there that you see, is a composite that's a poly facing, which put with a scrim and then the craft paper all put together. This product is really used in a lot of aesthetic applications where the desire for a white product to be used in exposed or open areas, something to match either a pipe covering or a mechanical room or a ceiling or a wall, giving you that real clean white look. It's got a little sheen to it. It's a really nice product. It looks really good when it's installed properly, and it's really an aesthetic use product. It wipes clean very easily, so really nice product that we added a couple years ago to the portfolio. And then the last product is our Microlite standard product. Make it in a couple different densities and thicknesses. You can use it as a plain insulating blanket without any facing, but you also have a white vinyl facing that we can apply to that, and we sell that for some certain specific applications that are out there. It's really a customized product. You can use it in an array of different applications. It's really kind of a utilitarian type product, and you'll hear more about that as I kind of click through some of these slides. So looking at duct wrap installation, so the first thing I want to kind of draw your attention to is over on the right-hand side of the screen and just kind of give you the components of actual duct wrap. So this is an actual roll of Microlite FSK duct wrap, and you can see that the fiberglass is the white color there. The foil scrimcraft is the silver reinforcement. You can see the scrim pattern there showing up on that duct wrap itself. And then what you're going to have is a factory-applied 2-inch staple flap that when you're putting that duct wrap together, that staple flap gives you that freedom to pull and wrap that around the duct and use your staples and seal that down as you're connecting the duct wrap together around the duct. So drawing your eyes over to the left-hand side is some gentlemen who are installing some duct wrap, some really large duct that they're putting duct wrap on. You know, and when you're installing Microlite duct wrap, some things that you need to make sure you take in consideration, and you need to make sure that the ducts are clean and dry, tightly sealed with all the joints and seams, and you want to make sure that you install the duct wrap in accordance with all the instructions and make sure that the compression is controlled. The installed R value of duct wrap is based on the installation of the product over sealed sheet metal ductwork with the average installed thickness at 75% of the product's nominal thickness. That means that no more than 25% of the compression is on the fiberglass, because as you compress fiberglass, you reduce your thermals or your R value. You should make sure that you cut the wrap to the proper stretch-out dimensions. Those stretch-out dimensions can be found on our website at jm.com on our product data page, as well as on every individual bag of duct wrap that we send out. We have the stretch-out and layout chart for what you need dimension-wise for your duct wrap. It's always important to make sure that you put the foil facing or your PS casing facing toward the outside. You want to tightly butt your seams together, and then that 2-inch form staple flap must completely overlap that facing as you wrap it around the duct, and you want to make sure it all comes together. Rectangular square ducts are to be installed so that the insulation is not excessively compressed at the corners especially, and those seams should all be stapled approximately 6 inches on center with an outward clenching staple, which is very important. You need to make sure that you seal all the seams and joints with a pressure-sensitive matching tape that matches the facing, either glass or with a glass fabric or mastic as well. So those are kind of some of the basics for installation of duct wrap. So with that, there's 3 common questions that we get a lot asked of us at Johns Manville that tend to come through from our technical hotline and John Elverum. If you guys have ever had talking to John, he's a great resource. But one of the questions that we tend to get is, can I paint duct wrap? And that is I bet we get asked that question 50, 60, 70 times a year. We have some information around it, but the duct wrap has a flame and spread index rating of 25 or less. and a smoke-developed index rating of 50 or less, which is tested per ASTM standard E84, which is the standard test method for surface burning characteristics of building materials. And it's also tested to the Underwriters Laboratory UL 723 testing. And it's assumed that the performance characteristics of duct wrap will remain constant for the life of those products. Our duct wrap has not been evaluated for any impact of the paint coating on the ASTM E84 or UL 723 burning characteristics test. And if you do paint the duct wrap, it does void the UL rating that's received by Johns Manville. You know, there's a lot of different paints out there. There's a lot of combustible paints, and we can't test all of those. So if it may be perfectly fine paint to use, but we just lose all of our UL warranties if the product is painted. So you want to make sure that you talk to your local building code officials or the fire marshal and make sure you get approval to paint your duct wrap before that. One of the things that's really nice is we have a foil face product, but we also have a white face product. So if you have an application where you're looking to paint it white, we already have a duct wrap product that's already pre-done or pre-colored as white. So you can eliminate white from something that you may need to paint the duct wrap with. So that's one of the things that I wanted to touch on that we get asked pretty regularly. The next question that we get are, what kind of staple should I use? And you should use an outward clenching staple every 6 inches on center for putting together duct wrap. You want to make sure that they go out, and when you put an outward clenching staple in, it'll go into the FSK facing and it'll turn itself outward actually and grab on and hold to those 2 layers of foil that you're stapling together. If you use straight staples, they have a tendency to want to go straight through the duct wrap, and then you're going to end up saying, hey, it's not working, it's not going through properly. You really want to make sure you're using an outward clenching staple, and those are available at just about any HVAC supply house that's out there. A lot of our distribution partners should have that in stock. And then the last question that we get is kind of pinning on duct wrap. That previous picture, you saw that those guys that were installing duct wrap had mechanically fastened that duct wrap kind of on the bottom of that duct side. So, you know, if you're looking at the underside of a duct that spans 24 inches or greater, it's supposed to be secured with a mechanical fastener or speed clips that are about 18 inches on center. And then you're required to mechanically fasten that facing so it prevents the sag of that insulation with a mechanical pin. And one of the things that we want to make sure that you know is when you do pin on the underside, it does compress that insulation, so it does take away your insulating power, but it also compromises your vapor barrier. So as that hole is punctured through with that mechanical fastener, you want to make sure that your contractor goes back and at least tapes over that with the proper tape to seal that hole up and make sure that it keeps your vapor barrier intact. So pinning is a common practice, especially on large ducts. We do approve it. It is fine to do, but just make sure that you're using some of those common steps when you have that application. So next thing we're going to talk about is duct liner. So we're going to change gears here. We just talked about duct wrap, which goes on the outside of a sheet metal duct. Duct liner is an insulation that's used on the inside of the duct. Duct liner provides really great acoustical value in addition to thermals and energy efficiency. It really does a nice job limiting the acoustics. Probably the #1 feature of duct liner is its acoustical value and control of things going through the ductwork and that sound as it travels down that duct. One thing that's really nice about Johns Manville LINACOUSTIC RC, which is our primary duct liner product, is we have a proprietary protective coating that I'll talk about that is very durable. It's water repellent. It inhibits microbial growth. And it really makes it a great product to use in the kind of the harsh shop environment or on the job site. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in the upcoming slides here. Looking at our duct liner or our rectangular duct liner installations, because there's also a spiral or flat oval type application out there, but specifically the rectangular duct installations, the 4 products that you're typically going to see are LINACOUSTIC RC. You're going to see a LINACOUSTIC RC HP, which is our high performance product. You'll see our LINACOUSTIC R300, a plenum board, a 3-pound board, or a LINATEX, which is a long fiber textile product. So diving into those products just a little bit more and looking at each one, we're going to start on the left-hand side with our LINACOUSTIC RC. The product comes in a roll, and it comes in many varying thicknesses from 1/2 inch all the way up to our new R12 product, which is 3-inch thick duct liner. And those thermal performances tied the same way to it as duct wrap did, with the 2-2 tying to the 1/2 inch all the way up to the 3-inch at R12. one of the things that's really nice about Johns Manville products, or that's different or unique, I guess you could say, is the way that we actually manufacture our fiberglass. We have what's called pot and marble technology, where we actually flame attenuate our product, and it gives us a really nice, even, consistent product across the entire width of the mat. So that's really important to make sure you're getting a consistent thermal R value across the duct liner as you're installing that product. As I said before, our LINACOUSTIC RC product has a edge coating that's on both of the sides, or the outside sides that you can see on that roll, and it also has a coating over the airstream surface side. So the side of the duct liner that is exposed to the airstream surface has our proprietary Permacoat coating on there, which is a great feature of that product that we'll talk even more about. But it really does a nice job for water repellency, inhibiting microbial growth. And it's a very durable, a little bit stiffer than and tougher than a traditional fiberglass mat. The one thing that I want to point out here is the NRC rating, or the noise reduction coefficient, which is basically the ability of a product to absorb the sound as it's coming down or traveling down the duct. The way that an NRC is kind of rated on a scale of 0 to 1, so at a 0.70 with a 1-inch thick product, that means that duct liner, or that RC liner, is absorbing 70% of that sound as it's traveling down the duct. So really doing a nice job of mitigating and eliminating that noise as it's coming through the duct itself. The RC product is really the Johns Manville workhorse product. It's the preferred product across the country, and what most of our contractors and distributors carry and use and sell, and the majority of what we sell out there. So really nice product. I would put our product up against just about anybody's product on the RC material. The next product here is our LINACOUSTIC RC HP product. The HP product is a high-performance product. We only make it in 1-inch thick, but it really is kind of a density spec-driven type thing that's been out there for a while, and it has a little bit higher NRC rating to it, has a little bit better thermal performance at 1-inch thick than its cousin on the RC side. So it's just a little bit more thermal and a little bit more acoustic. So if there's a spec out there that you're trying to reach to get a little bit more acoustical performance, this is a great product to use. Or if you're running into a density-driven spec, we'll talk a little bit more about that. This is a great substitute product to fill in with to give you a better thermal or acoustical value there. The third product here is a board product. It's an R300 rigid plenum board. We make it in a variety of thicknesses, and those thicknesses, coupled with the density of that board product, give it multiple different R values, ranging from R4 all the way up to R17 with the 4-inch product that we have. It has an airstream surface. That black surface is coated just like our other duct liner products, and it's really used in a lot of custom applications. Rigid plenum board gets used in plenums, obviously, mechanical rooms. A lot of applications will buy it for acoustical control in, say, a studio or a musical venue, theater applications, etc., that you can put fiberglass or not fiberglass, I'm sorry, cloth mat, different colored mats over it to help absorb sound. So it's a nice product, kind of utilitarian. Comes in a 4x8 board form that's a square butt edge product. Then the last product we offer is our LINATEX product, and JM is really the only manufacturer left in the market remaining here that's actually producing a textile fiber product or has a textile product available. It's a long fiberglass product. It's density dependent, so you've got to have a 1.5 pound or a 2 pound or 3 pound product. So as you're increasing your thickness and densities, you got to make sure you have the right thickness and density combination to hit the needed R value to reach the code that you're trying to reach. So it's a spec-driven product. There's some niche markets out there, in particular in the Deep South, that still use some textile product out there. Some other niche areas around the country that still use it, but it's dwindling, and it was kind of the long-time product that was used for years and years. And as technology has improved on both the pot and marble side or the rotary side, making fiberglass more efficiently, the textile fiber is still there. There's still a need for it, and we still offer one. And it's kind of a very niche product in its own right. So looking at duct liner installation, or rectangular duct liner installation, so it comes in a rolled form, and it comes in a lot of different widths, and those various widths tie into the sheet metal fabrication itself, and basically the type of duct connection that's being made at those transverse joints of two duct sections coming together, and that really dictates what kind of width you're going to use with duct liner. There's a lot of different widths: 47.5, 48, 56, 56.25, 59, 59.5. It all depends on what type of sheet metal connection you're making, and that's why the different incremental half-inch or quarter inches change depending on what you're doing there. NAMA, or the North American Insulation Manufacturers Association, as well as SMACNA, who's the Sheet Metal and Air Conditioning National Association, they both publish and provide a lot of industry standards and guidelines that give you a lot of details, whether it be mechanical fastening schedules, glue application, where you need to put nosings, reinforcing schedules. They have all kinds of things that tie and pertain to the installation or proper installation of duct liner inside of a sheet metal duct. So a lot of great resources out there available when you're looking at duct liner installation. If you kind of shift your attention over here to the picture on the top left-hand corner, that gentleman is running a coil line, and this is just a small section of that coil line. It's the liner itself is moving from left to right, coming through there, and what you're seeing is the pin spotter, where that duct liner or the black surface there has been glued down to the piece of sheet metal, and that pin spotter has pinned that duct liner or mechanically fastened it to the sheet metal, and it's coming down the line, which will be then in turn bent into an L shape, which is shown in the picture below that, and it's all stacked up, and those L sections are then in turn put together and shipped off and installed in the job site. So that's kind of how duct liner is installed in a rectangular duct in the most basic sense. So looking at some rectangular duct FAQs that we get and some things that are pretty important, and one of the questions that we get a lot here at JM is duct liner and density, and is it important, and why is it important, or what do you need with it? So I've actually written a blog on this. You can find it on jm.com. Kim will go over that at the end of this presentation. But a little bit of background here, and I'll kind of give you a little bit of a story around why density is where it is and what role it's played. So if we take it back all the way to the 1970s, which is before I was born, but the Thermal Insulation Manufacturers Association, which has since evolved into NAMA, the North American Insulation Manufacturers Association, published a standard called AHC 101 for fiberglass duct liner, and in this standard, it addressed a lot of critical characteristics that are highly regarded today for duct liner performance, but it was also the genesis for standardizing duct liner density and specifications. So the thought behind standardizing liner density evolved from the practice of using insulation density as the primary selection criteria for duct liner. And at the time, industry professionals assumed incorrectly that all liners perform equally and that density is the key differentiator in insulating performance. So the flaw is that all duct liners do not perform equally. So in fact, design differences employed in the manufacturing process technologies, in our airstream surface treatments, all types of things that are out there influence insulation performance, and density actually has very little relevance to the actual duct liner performance, and using a lot of these outdated density specifications will result in increased material costs without actually addressing some of the acoustical or thermal requirements that you need. So in 1986, the insulation manufacturers and ASTM recognized that all duct liners were not the same, and they attempted to rectify this by approving a new duct liner selection criteria, ASTM C1071, which is the standard specification for fiberglass duct lining insulation. So when this new standard for duct liner selection and specification was established back in 1986, density was actually removed and no longer listed as a requirement. So the performance-based ASTM C1071 standard basically removed the guesswork for the selection of the duct system liner insulations and provided the engineer or the contractor or the building owner, what have you, the freedom to kind of focus on the comprehensive duct liner performance as opposed to the density and the amount of glass in the product. So basically it meant that they could write specifications based on the acoustical performance of the product, the thermal performance of the product, the corrosive potential, the surface burning characteristics, and all kinds of other key important characteristics tied to your duct liner. So you might be sitting there thinking, well, wow, this ASTM C1071 came around in 1986. Why do we still see duct liner specified out there? And it's really a great question. And you know, I don't know if there's one great answer that ties to it, but I know that there's a lot of master specs out there that rarely get changed. There's a lot of really tight deadlines. There's turnover within the specification community. So all that time, that it takes to make sure your specs evolve and make sure that you're specifying the right thing, you know, all those things have to make sure that they're updated. And, you know, I don't know if specifications are typically something that are truly focused on, especially when it comes to insulation, but a lot of times it's just copied and pasted over, and a lot of it stays out there. There is some need when it ties to the hanger schedule, so if you're actually hanging the duct, you know, the weight of the duct does become important, but in terms of actually specifying duct liner to the need of what you're doing in your system, density really is not that a critical component to that. So that's kind of the story of duct liner density and its importance and kind of where it's evolved to today. The next question that we get is, you know, the permacoat coating, why is it important and do I need it? And my answer to that would be yes, it is an excellent and extremely important characteristic of our LINACOUSTIC RC product. The first thing is it provides great water repellency. We actually have a built-in water repellent in our coating. So if you get accidental moisture that's spitting off that fan or condensation that's coming into that duct, it does a really nice job of repelling it and not allowing it to penetrate into the fiberglass. So water repellency is something that's a nice feature of the product. It also inhibits mold growth and keeps it from happening, so that's a nice feature of it as well. And I think one of the most important things about it is the durability of it. And if you compare it to a product with a plain fiberglass mat, and we have our own, even at JM, we have our own plain fiberglass mat products, the durability and the toughness of that coated product in a shop environment when you're stacking up those L sections of duct, there's a lot of sharp edges and places that can get nicked and scratched and dinged. It really does a nice job in that environment and helps the contractor reduce the amount of callbacks and damage that he has to repair on that, so helping make them more productive as they create that duct system. So it's a really nice and important feature of our duct liner product that we offer out there in the marketplace that no one else has. And then I would say I get a lot of questions, you know, how do we ensure quality control? You know, as the product manager, what do you guys do that's different to make sure that you guys are producing the best products out there? And we try and make every effort to make the most high quality product for HVAC installations that we can, and I think we do a pretty good job of it. You know, we're not perfect, but one of the things that's really nice about JM is that we're vertically integrated from a manufacturing standpoint, and what's really interesting about it is we, as the manufacturer, are unique in that we create and produce our own glass mat facings. We produce all of our own FSK facings, or our vapor barrier facings on the FSK side. We have the permacoat coating, which is a proprietary coating to us, and then we obviously make all the fiberglass. So we literally can control a lot of the aspects of our product, from the raw material coming into our facilities to the composite that's put together, shipped to our fiberglass plants, and create the product that you guys receive and use every day. So it's really nice for me as the product manager. I can go back to all phases of our manufacturing process, whether it be facing or fiberglass or coating, to make sure that we're giving you the best product and ensuring that quality control. So with that, we just talked a little bit about rectangular ducts, and now we're going to start and kind of talk a little bit about spiral or oval type situations. And we have three products: the Spiracoustic Plus product, we have the yellow insulation, Spiral SG, which is a little bit different, and then Microlite Standard pops its head up again, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So when you're looking at these products, we're going to start on the left-hand side with Spiracoustic Plus. Spiracoustic Plus is a single-wall product. It comes in a 4x10 sheet, which is in turn curved or cut or grooved with these grooves that go all the way across the board, which allows you to take that piece of board, actually roll it into a circle and slide it inside of the duct, where it will self-support itself inside of that duct, creating a single-wall or single-wall lined application. It comes in 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and 2 inch thick, which ties to your R values. We have a couple different cuts, which I'll talk about in a minute, that are VSD, very small diameter, SD, small diameter, or LD, which is our large diameter. Our Spiracoustic Plus is surface coated with our permacoat coating, as well as the edges of the board are coated as well. Great acoustical value. And it's really a nice lightweight solution. It's about a 30% lighter product than what the double wall product would be. So in terms of getting installation and labor on a job and moving through, it's a really nice lightweight product for that application. The second product here is what's called our Spiral SG, which is our double wall duct insulation. The insulation obviously is the yellow, and what I mean when I say double wall duct is you have that inner metal core, which can be solid or perforated. So you have an inner metal layer that then is wrapped with a fiberglass blanket spiral SG, and then that is in turn inserted inside of an outer metal shell, so double wall meaning 2 layers of metal with a fiberglass blanket sandwiched in between. We make several different thicknesses and several different widths of spiral SG. Great application for double wall spiral or double wall flat oval duct right now. It's been around for a long time. You can get to some small diameters with it. It's a tried and true method. There's lots of guys out there that fabricate double wall spiral duct. The third product we have, again, is our utilitarian blanket, is the Microlite standard. And the one thing that's interesting is I've seen a lot of guys out there in the market where we actually have the ability with our Microlite standard, we can send you pre-slit material as little as 9 inches wide. So we can package it 9 inches wide or 12 inches wide, and that's, if somebody does a lot of the applications, some guys like what's called candy cane, where they will wrap that spiral pipe and let that pipe spin, and they'll hold that 9-inch wide fiberglass and let that candy cane itself around the inner metal core. So it's a nice product that we do see in a lot of that double wall application, especially on fittings. It's a lot easier to work with a 9-inch or a 12-inch wide fiberglass blanket as opposed to something that might be 60 or 72 inches on the spiral SG side, making those fittings a little bit easier to attack with a smaller blanket with less cuts and makes you a little bit more user-friendly for the fabrication side. So those are kind of the 3 products that we have for addressing spiral or flat oval duct. I want to dive a little bit more into those applications here. The Spiracoustic Plus is a factory kerf cut setting here where you can get a board product that is consistently thick and provides you with that R value all the way around that spiral inner circle there. Great acoustical control and condensation control. It's really great for really large diameter ducts. Spiracoustic Plus is used in a lot of large stadium projects for the bowl duct application. Big duct, we're talking 80-inch plus type duct. Makes it a lot less lighter weight. Really nice product for that. You can see the gentleman in the bottom right-hand corner. He's installing that product where he's cut it, he's sliding it in, and we call that heart shaping it, where you sort of push that in, you slide it in the duct, and then it pops back up and holds itself in place. The one thing that I want to address is getting back to those acronyms, the VSD, the very small diameter, the SD and the LD, small diameter and large diameter. Those are really the sizing charts. That's how we determine what diameters of that spiral pipe our product will fit in based on the cut and the thickness of that board. So there's a couple different combinations. We've got an installation guide. We have videos on jm.com that you can watch that are tutorial videos of how to install it. So really nice feature where you kind of have a one size fits many sizes that you can use and helps you as a distributor or the contractor keep a few pieces of what you need in stock to address those situations. The next product is kind of the double wall that I talked about, a little bit more information here. You know, it's a tried and true solution. It's been around for years and years. It's a very efficient way of insulating spiral duct. We have an offering for both products. Double wall is a little bit heavier than the Spiracoustic side, but you know, we have insulation that addresses both needs. You know, as the product manager, I don't really care which way you go with it. We have a solution for both, and that's really my goal, is to make sure we're providing you with the solutions that you need no matter what you're specifying. So we have a product with both the SG and the Microlite standard that can be used for your double wall applications. So a couple questions here that we tend to get asked, and you know, one of them that comes across is can I just V-groove a duct board for the same results as Spiracoustic? And some of the competitive products out there do V-groove, and you know, what I would tell you is yes, you can in theory do that. We do not recommend that application, and really we specifically engineered the Spiracoustic Plus product for that spiral application. We have no Airstream glass mat surface that can delaminate in either a high pressure system or that can come off during that V-grooving process where there's a lot of friction that's put on with all those blades that are running through that board. We have a permacoat coating on it. We offer a full product warranty if the system is done properly. We have some accessory products that I'll talk about that are specifically designed for that application. So we have all of our cutting is done in a controlled manufacturing factory environment. So we have a product that is specifically designed to do that. So we don't recommend that you V-groove duct board. We know it goes on, but we feel like the Spiracoustic Plus product is the engineered product for that solution. We talked a little bit already about the difference between VSD, SD, and LD. And really the biggest difference I can tell you is the distance between the cuts that are made. The LD size, it's at 3.14 inches, or pi, basically, is your spacing. The SD is then half of pi, and so on down to the VSD. So it's really just the difference in the spacing and the type of cut we're putting in the board. And I have a lot of people say, you know, hey, Brennan, should I be using double wall or single wall or what? You know, and to be honest with you, we have solutions for both. I think the Spiracoustic Plus is a great product. I also think that double wall is a great way to go as well. You know, we have solutions for both. It's up to you guys as the specifier or the contractor to install what you like for your application. So some guys prefer one or the other. You know, we offer a solution for both applications. So that's my goal, is to make sure we have that solution. So moving on to the next product is our duct board product. Duct board is a great product. It comes in a 4x10 sheet typically, and it's a product that can be fabricated into the duct itself. There's no sheet metal involved with a duct board insulation product. It provides very good thermal control and energy efficiency. Also does a great job at controlling acoustics. And another really nice feature about duct board is it's really lightweight, which makes it ideal for getting up into small, tight residential applications where there's not a lot of room and you're trying to maneuver in an attic or in a high-rise. You know, the lightweightness of that product is a really nice feature of it and benefit of it. We have 4 different types of board products that we offer in our portfolio. The first one is our matte face micro air duct board, which is kind of the industry standard product. We have our Super Duct RC, which is a coated product. We have our micro air LP board, or a low pressure board, for manufactured housing. And we also have a product called diffuser board, which is for diffusers. Looking at them just a little bit more in depth, you see the matte face micro air duct board on the left-hand side. It comes in 3 thicknesses. It has an FSK facing on the outside, providing that vapor barrier. The black mat is always on the airstream side of that product. It's really the workhorse product of the duct board portfolio, and the one that we sell out the most into the market. The next product is the Super Duct RC product. It's a coated duct board. So I talked a lot about our permacoat coating on our duct liner and our Spiracoustic Plus. The Super Duct product has the permacoat coating, making that surface on the airstream a little bit more durable, a little bit tougher. It's great for light commercial, strip shopping centers, malls, high-end residential. It's a really nice product for those applications. The LP board is a little bit of a unique product. It's a 13/16 inch board. It's a duct board type product that's used in manufactured housing. It gets used in a lot of different applications, buses, RVs, campers, manufactured housing, trailer, mobile homes, all kinds of things that product gets used in, some really unique applications. And then the last product is diffuser board, which has a black dyed airstream surface there, and that's really exactly what it is. It's a diffuser board. It goes up into the diffuser that might be in the office you're sitting in now. If you look up at those vents and you see black through that dark color through your register or vent, that's a diffuser type product application, where you'd want to see a dark black color instead of either sheet metal or something shiny through that. One thing that I want to make sure I address on ductboard, all of Johns Manville ductboard products that have a shiplap have a factory molded shiplap, meaning what you're seeing here in the picture is a closure system for the longitudinal joint of that ductboard system. So as it's fabricated, the female shiplap and the male shiplap come together and form a nice closure system that allows you to take that duct, staple it with outward clenching staples, and run that UL 181 tape down to close that out. So we have a factory applied molded shiplap, which is a really nice feature on all of our ductboard products. We have, on the Super Duct, we talked about the permacoat coating, just a little bit closer view of it. You can see the airstream surface there, the dark black. We do have a dyed layer at the very top, ensuring that you don't see any of the yellow coming through on the bottom. We add that dye in there to make it a nicer product, a little bit darker as well, so that permacoat coating gives it a little bit more durability too. And then just talking a little bit about the ductboard fabrication, on the top right-hand side you can see what's called a glass master machine, or a ductboard grooving machine. It's got kniving that gets moved around to cut out the shiplaps in cuts and grooves that take that flat board and allow you to turn it into a rectangular duct. On the bottom is the hand tools. The hand tools there are used by hand and designed to allow you to fabricate it by hand. The far side, on the left-hand side, you can see this gentleman pulling out one of the grooves that he's cut out of that flat board. You can see that cut that's coming out, and that'll allow that to fold up vertically and form into the duct. And then that last picture there in the middle is, you can see where he's stapled that together, and he's actually applying the UL 181 tape there with a squeegee and creating that sealed vapor barrier seam with that tape. So a couple questions, FAQs that we get asked, we call our board, MAD board type 475 1-inch product, or 1.5 inch type 800, and what does that 475 or what does that 800 mean? And really that refers to the flexural rigidity of the product. And you're saying, hey, what is flexural rigidity? It's really the force that's required to bend a non-rigid structure. So basically the existence or the ability of a structure to resist the bend of a material. So that 475 and 800, I guess you could say, refers to the stiffness of the product per se, and it ties into the reinforcing schedules of ductboard, where you may need to reinforce that with reinforcing rods depending on the pressure of that system, typically in a commercial application, not usually in a residential system, but that's what that type 475 and 800 ties into, is kind of where do you need to reinforce and how rigid is that product. A lot of people ask, hey, how do I get ductboard? What does it come packaged like? We package it two ways. We package it in cartons, so a cardboard carton that'll typically have 6 sheets or 4 sheets, depending on the number of boards in that thickness in that box, or it comes on loose sheets on a pallet for high volume or large volume users. And then the last thing is the tape in a closure system is extremely important. It's an integral part of the fiberglass duct construction process, and there's a couple closures that comply with UL 181. There's a pressure-sensitive tape, which you can see in the picture. He was squeegeeing that down. There's a heat-activated aluminum tape, and then there's a glass fabric and mastic, and all of those have been tested, and you can get all of those tapes at one of your local HVAC supply houses or distributors. I want to make sure you do not use regular old duct tape. That will not work. You have to use a UL 181 approved tape to make sure that system stays closed and sealed. Getting into our accessory products, I was talking about Spiracoustic. We have a couple accessory products that we offer. We have what's called our Super Seal product line, our Super Seal Edge and HV products. The Edge treatment product is a low viscosity, so kind of think like paint. You can spray it, you can paint it on with a brush. It's a very low viscosity product that is very jet black, that's used at the edges of a piece of duct insulation to contain the fibers and trap them inside of those and hold that space if you're cutting out fittings or whatnot. So it's a very good application for that. Our HV product, or our high viscosity product, is a trowel-on product that's used in Spiracoustic Plus or on LINACOUSTIC RC to help fix or repair any gaps or nicks or gouges in the insulation. It goes on with a gray color, so when you open up the paint or the actual container itself, it'll be a gray color. When it actually dries, it dries black, so you know when it's dry. You don't have to keep touching it and getting it on your hands. It's a really nice product that we've I kind of relaunched that and revamped that about 1.5 years ago, and we've had some really good success with it being used in the marketplace. And then, one of the things that we kind of launched this year, something new to be aware of, we do offer a duct insulation knife. This is the same knife that we use in all of our Johns Manville plants to cut insulation. You're buying insulation, you got to cut it somehow. It was kind of a no-brainer to have a duct insulation knife accessory item that we could use and pass on the distribution, and they can sell it through so that the contractors could cut that. So we do have that available in our portfolio. The next product we're going to get into here is our flexible duct system, or our flexible media duct, or duct media. We make the insulation that goes inside the finished product of flexible duct. And that insulation, fiberglass insulation, helps control temperature, great with energy efficiency and acoustical control. But the biggest feature of it, or a flex duct in general, is the flexibility of it. It's great for tapping off of a main trunk duct run and taking it out to a register and tying it in. And if you have it field measured, or you're kind of off with your layout on that home or building, you can use that flexible duct being flexible to attach it and tie it in. So a really nice feature of that is the flexibility of that product. When I'm talking about flex duct, just to make sure everybody is clear, the picture on the right gives you kind of a basic idea of what flexible duct is. You have an inner core that has a spiral reinforced wire. Then we have our Johns Manville insulation that's there wrapped around that core. And then on the outside, you have a metallized exterior vapor retarder type jacket can be silver, it can be black polyethylene. There's all kinds of different core and jacket configurations depending on the manufacturer of who's making the flexible duct assembly. And obviously it meets all the R values that you need and recycled content for your LEED credits, etc. So that's kind of flexible duct in a nutshell there, and we produce the insulation, but we do not make the actual final assembly. So kind of where do I use these, right? You know, I would use flexible duct in a lot of residential applications. Is a great opportunity for it. It's where the majority of it goes, I would say. But it's a great way to tap off of a trunk line, tie it to a register. Really nice way to efficiently move air and do it in a very orderly fashion, very quickly. Small, compact packages. It's a really nice product. And then you might say, hey, where can I get finished flexible duct with JM Insulation in it? So we have two partners that we go to market with. Main partners are QuietFlex and Hart & Cooley. Both of them offer the finished assembly of flexible duct that you can get those products from them with our Johns Manville insulation inside of them. So the last thing here that I'm going to wrap up with is some of the new products that JM is offering and kind of give you the background on why. So just recently, the need for a new product has kind of come up, and the need for that new product is really driven by code. So the 2015 International Energy Code requirement for duct insulation is we're starting to require R12 insulation in climate zones 5 through 8. So this map that's up on your screen here, climate zones 5 through 8 are this green area stretching all the way north up here in the northern Minnesota, and actually zone 8 is Alaska. And basically what this International Energy Code is saying, and the 2015 requirement is if you have duct in exterior applications of the building, so rooftop duct or a parking garage, what have you, or if you're in unconditioned space and your jurisdiction has adopted the 2015 International Energy Code, they're asking you to use R12 insulation in those applications. So that's where kind of this need for a new product has arisen, because there was really not a great solution to get to an R12. And there's a lot of double layering of duct liners or duct wraps out there to reach an R12 for the small amount of applications that there were. One thing I do want to point out is there's a great website here, a great resource that'll take you directly to all the state codes and local jurisdictions, etc. It's a really great resource. They'll take you to all the places that you can look it up. It's a website that I use pretty regularly, so it's a good resource for you guys to kind of find out where it's at. So with this new code that's coming up, and where these requests for R12 insulation were out there, you know, the problem had been is there really just wasn't one. No one from the fiberglass side was really manufacturing a product that could be done, and that was one of the big issues that we had with the R12 code. So this year, we have introduced the first and only flexible R12 insulations available to the marketplace. On the left-hand side is our Microlite FSK duct wrap. It is a 4.4-inch, 3/4-pound product that gives you an installed R12 on the duct wrap side, so you can use that in where those applications are calling in a single-layer application, which is a big time saver to not having to take an unfaced product and then wrap that with a faced product. You can reach R12 with one product in one step. So a really nice product that we just came out with a couple months ago to meet this code that's coming through and becoming a reality in a lot of these areas. The other one that we have is our LINACOUSTIC RC duct liner product, which is a 3-inch fiberglass blanket. I think we're stocking 4 or 5 different widths right now. We have it available and ready to go to meet those R12 applications where you need them. So I've spent a lot of time. I've had some conversation with Meztec on the coil line side, as well as Duradyne and Grip Nail. We're talking through the pins that are needed, the automatic pin spotters, making sure that we have those guys on board with what you guys need in the field as a contractor to be able to pin it and cut it and run it down your application. So I'm hoping that those guys come out with some modifications and some new equipment to address this scenario here, hopefully in the next 6 to 8 months, as soon as they can finish their R&D and make sure they have everything done on it. But we've been reaching out, and I've been using my relationships in the marketplace to make sure we have our accessory items that go with this product available for the contractors to use and make sure it goes smoothly. So with those introductions of the duct wrap and the duct liner, we do have a few other products in the R12 portfolio. So we really are rounding out our portfolio. We have a spin glass series product, which is a board product that is used on the outside of duct, can be done on rooftop and venture cladded. In mechanical rooms, we have a product that has an R12 in that. Of course, we just touched on our duct wrap. We have what's called an XPEC polyiso foam board, which is a rooftop application for a polyiso duct. Really nice, great compressive strength. You can only use it on the outside of exterior buildings. Cannot bring it inside the building envelope, but for rooftop duct applications, it's a really nice solution that we have that you can find out about on our website. We have our RC product that I hit on, and then we have our R300 rigid plenum board as well. That's a great solution that you can get a 3-inch or 4-inch product as needed for any solution you need to meet R12. So really a nice R12 rounding out of the portfolio. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and take a break here and let my voice catch up. And I'm going to pass it over to Kim, and she's going to go through some of the additional resources we offer you guys.
Great. Thank you, Brennan. So first and foremost, I'd like to let you guys know about a resource we have called The Source. And what The Source is it's an online repository that houses all of our blogs, recorded webinars, technical documentation, and that sort of thing. And so this is where you can go to get additional training. You can get content from our blogs, which we write in-house. We also curate from experts throughout the industry to make sure our content is rich and relevant. And then we have tools like the NEMA 3E Plus tool. You may or may not be familiar with it. It's more common for mechanical applications, but it does allow you to insert your design specifications, and then it will actually, if you download the tool from our website, it will give you the information you need specifically for JM products. This is also where we host our recorded webinars, so if you're looking for additional information like the webinar today, you'll find them right here on The Source. And in addition to that, we have a list of our specifications so that you can do a side-by-side comparison for all of our products right there online. So the next we have, anybody who attended today will get a certificate of completion, and that will be in your box by close of business tomorrow. And with that, we will take it to questions. Brennan, are you ready?
I am ready.
Excellent. So the first question is white vinyl duct wrap available in 2-inch thick R6?
Yes, we can make white vinyl duct wrap in R6 2-inch thick. It would have to be a 2.2-inch thick, 3/4 pound product. We can make it. We do have the ability to. Off the top of my head, I don't know if we offer that currently as something we have in our portfolio or not. I'd have to look that up, but we do have the ability to make that. If you reach out to your MDM, he can assist you with that, and we'll get the information to you.
All right, excellent. The next question we got is, why is the color of Microlite FSK different from Microlite PSK since both are formaldehyde-free?
Good question. So we actually make our products a little bit differently depending on the plant that you're in. It's really tied to the binder and the type of binder that you're using, depending on the processes in the different plants, depending on what your binder is based on and chemically, et cetera, that's in there. And the color does not have any impact on the formaldehyde-free rating or characteristic of the product. And really, if you think about it, the color really doesn't matter in any way, shape, or form, because if you're using duct wrap, you're wrapping that duct and there's a foil facing on the outside, and once you apply that, you wrap it around the duct, you seal your seams up with the tape, you're never going to see the color of the fiberglass insulation anyway. So it doesn't have anything to do with anything with the fiber formaldehyde-free rating or anything like that. It's just some differences in manufacturing processes that we're using.
All right, excellent. The next question is, does your duct liner cause static pressure?
Does the duct liner cause static pressure? Duct liner does cause static pressure. We do have, I think, insertion loss charts and things available for that. If you reach out to John Elverum, who runs our technical hotline, John can provide you with a lot of that information in terms of insertion loss or friction type information. He can help you with some of that data as well.
Great. The next question is, what percentage of recycled glass is used in your HVAC fiberglass insulation products?
There's different percentages so we go through a third party who certifies our recycled content. So we use our third party is SCS. You can go to their website and they should have it, but on all of our product data sheets, if you go to our product data sheets at jm.com, every one of those will have a listing or there's actually a little logo that's used that SCS gives to us and gets updated every year. I think it's updated at the end of September every year or beginning of September that we get our recertification. We turn all of our information in and they certify that the product is different products have different amounts of recycled content in it, depending on which plant or which product line you're using. So if you go to our data page and go to the bottom of it, we actually just updated ours just recently. I think that we're putting those up just this week. So you can find those on the data page. It'll be there. But there's different percentages depending upon the product. Great.
And our next question is, why would I choose LINACOUSTIC RC over LINACOUSTIC RC HP?
Good question. So LINACOUSTIC RC is really the kind of the typical product that we see. It's kind of the regular workhorse product that's out there. It meets all the codes that are necessary depending on the thickness that you're using. The RCHP product is really a product we have that's available. It's a little bit higher density. So it addresses some of the density specs that are out there. It gives us a little bit better acoustical rating and a little bit better thermal rating than the standard RC product. So it's a little bit higher, which if you're looking for a little bit more thermally or acoustically or in a density-driven situation, a lot of times we'll see older, outdated 3-pound type specs, and usually we can substitute in the RCHP in that solution as a little bit better thermal or acoustic and higher density type product.
Excellent. The next question is, have the issues related to duct liner erosion been eliminated with newer products compared to those over 20 years ago?
Yes, I would say we pass airstream erosion testing for all of our products. We do airstream erosion testing. We actually, I think we rate up to, I want to say it's 6,000 feet per minute right now, which is actually, you actually test it, I think, a time and a half or one time higher. So if your rating is 6,000, and I may be wrong on this, I'd have to check back with the engineer on it, but we actually tested at 12,000 feet per minute, so your rating is actually half of what you actually test at. But the coating that we have on our airstream surface, glass matte facings that have been introduced, those do a really nice job of encasing and holding the fiberglass in, so you're keeping that fiberglass trapped between the sheet metal itself and actually the airstream surface, whether it's coated or the fiberglass mat on that airstream. It does a significantly better job than 20, 30 years ago of holding those fiberglass and keeping that airstream erosion rating. All of the products from all the manufacturers have airstream erosion ratings that are tested, and we have to keep our certification on that.
Excellent. The next question is what's the difference between installed R value and out-of-package R value?
So I'm assuming that's tied to duct wrap. So we get that question fairly regularly. So out-of-package R value is basically the thermal resistance to heat flow. So if you were to take that duct wrap and actually open it up, lay it flat, and let that glass recover, the out-of-package R value is the uncompressed R value of that product. So if you were just to lay it flat on the ground, let it recover up, and you tested the thermal resistance of that product, that's the out-of-package R value. Now, the installed R value is basically once you take that fiberglass and you wrap it around a piece of sheet metal duct, you're going to naturally compress that fiberglass, and you test that at 25% compression of the out-of-package R value. So if you're a 3-inch duct product, you actually test the thermals at a 3/4 pound product as that product's been compressed 25%. So thinking around that duct, around those squares, on those corners, so as it compresses, you reduce your thermals because fiberglass traps air. That's kind of how it slows the heat flow and gives you your thermals. But as that product is applied, that's how you get your installed R value. That's how it's tested at 25% compression, and that's the difference.
All right, excellent. Our next question is, can I get a square-edged or butt-edged product?
Sure. We offer for ductboard, we offer a molded shiplap product, which I talked about today, or you can get a butt edge product. So if you have a square type application, or if you're going to chop it up into smaller for registers or diffusers or boxes or whatnot, prefabricated type applications, we do have a butt edge product as well as a shiplap product that you can purchase from us.
All right, excellent. Well, that wraps up our questions for today. Just a note for anybody who will be attending AHR in Atlanta this year, we will be there. We'll be having product demos and a happy hour on Monday and Tuesday where you can stop by and get some beer, wine, or appetizer, a little refreshment after you're done walking the floor. So if you will be at AHR, come by. We'd love to meet you and see you. Brennan will be there and probably not running demos, but happy to talk to you about any of his products. Other than that, we hope you found this information useful and relevant today. And if you have any questions or anything that maybe you come up with that you weren't able to ask here at the end, please don't hesitate to reach out to us directly or via the survey that's going to pop up on your screen as soon as we close out the webinar. Otherwise, take care and enjoy the rest of your week and have safe and happy holidays.